1 o'clock exactly, 3.5 acres. I'm at the same permission that I was at last week, except I'm on the other side of the road. One section of that crossroads, in fact, wasn't here in the early 1700s, so that's relatively modern. And the other section runs down to what was the water's edge 1133 years ago, in about 300 yards that way. We know the Vikings landed here in 892, and it would be in this area somewhere that they set up camp with 250 ships. That's about 5,000 people. So they went north to Great Chart in Kent before they were fought off by King Alfred the Great. Kent and Sussex had been absorbed into Wessex, and Alfred, of course, was the King of Wessex at that time. It's hard to know quite how boggy this was 1133 years ago, and all we've found on the other side of the road so far is mainly Georgian and Victorian. So I'm hoping to punch through that 1700 date barrier to see if we can find something a little bit more ancient. I have another permission further down, which is closer to where it's thought the jetty may have been for a boat crossing to the Isle of Oxney. I'm getting a lot of interference, unfortunately. So between that EMI, all that jittering, I have to hear the veritable signals, which is going to prove difficult, or more difficult than last week. I have last week's field to go back into if I need to. Or maybe wander further up the field away from those power lines. They're right beside me here where I put my bag, unfortunately. Behind me make it very difficult in that particular corner, but halfway out here things have improved. So I'll come back to that area of electromagnetic interference later on, and just work on the bits that are free of interference just for now. See if I can't find something. Put the iron tone on. There is iron tone mixed in there. 50-50 job, but it's full depth, so still going to dig it. If that had been shallow, I probably wouldn't, to be fair, because there's a strong likelihood it's iron, but just in case. The further away the object is, the more iron influence can creep in. Standing off quite well that way. Very faint. Sorry about the wind noise. Alright, we go down with the pinpointer, see if we can get any luck with that. But obviously you have to pay for having a larger coil in some way or other, and it is iron by the looks of it. I think it's just an iron nail. Yeah, just a big old forged nail or remains of. Right, this is a shallow 12, I can see it, I don't know if you can from that hole there. Half a buckle or something. Again, sorry about the wind. I think that's just, unfortunately, a piece of wire. Bit of the old Victorian pottery there. 19th or 18th century. Just saying to myself what a quiet field it is compared to the one over the other side that I did on Tuesday. Fields can be so different. This was a 19. 50%, not that deep. Maybe a coin. It rings all round anyway. Let's come out. Right, I think it's in this clod here. No, not that one. It's in here somewhere. The smaller the better when it's 19. It's rather strange. Alright, in my hand. Ah, it's a musket ball. It's a good old musket ball. Another brown bass. It's quite windy in this part of the field, apologies for that. We've got 21 here though, at 20%, so not very deep. Double dinging. Right, let's see if we can get it out without the wind destroying the quality of the video. Ah, it's a coin. So it looks like a 20th century halfpenny. One of the George V or so. Probably 1930s. Alright, there he is. George the Fifth, I think. Yep, George the Fifth. So early 1900s. Can't see the date immediately. Yeah, 20s or 30s though. This one was only 12 feet away from the last. Same tone, and it's probably another George V halfpenny. See if we can get the date off that one for you. Actually, I think that's an Edward VII, so maybe 10 or 15 years earlier. I think it says 1914 or 17. Early 1900s Halfpennies. See what the pinpointed tells us. It was full depth, so maybe a bit deeper then. There's off centre, so it's actually only 4 inches down in the sidewall there. So many off centre targets with the 12-inch core, but still worth it. Depth. 14. Probably a piece of lead. That's not it. Oh, something round. He says, I think. Yeah, I think, well, sadly that's a button, not a coin. A very quick clean. Yeah, it's a 4-hole button, there we go. Early 1900s, late 1800s probably. 20%. It's in this clod here. Not terribly deep then, as this ground surface. In here somewhere. In here. Oh, it's something round. It's a coin, so I think that's a farthing. It's far too green to be a modern penny. It's bent, as you can see, but or it could be a Victoria. Can't entirely see. It's a farthing, but I know not which monarch. George V. So beginning of the 1900s, that's a farthing. More Victorian pottery there. Indicator of what I'm likely to find, I guess. Film this before the next blast of winds. This was a 15, so very shallow, as you can see. Somewhere here. There it is. It's a bullet. It's a bullet that's hit something. 303. Look at the state of that. This is a 15 down there, as you can see. Is that it? Nope, that's a stone. Something on the sidewalk. Road, as you can probably hear. There's that piece of lead. Yeah. Piece of lead. Can't see anything on it. Right by the road here. 15 or 16. I think it's going to be alley, but there's a lot of cancel around the edges of this field. It's been chopped up. But, to see what this one is. Something circular. Is it? Oh no. Oh dear. Never mind. Alright, here's another case of iron in a hole, something non-ferrous additionally. So as I say, what makes a good detector is both reactivity or recovery and depth, and the two are inversely proportional, because usually the fastest reacting detectors don't go that deep, and the more money you pay, you get the two features combined. So you can get depth on some detectors, but it merges objects together because your larger coil or lower frequency by its nature will do that. So if your finds are on the surface like they would be on the Thames, you want the fastest recovery. You don't need depth. Whereas here I compromise my recovery speed, but I've got good depth. Is this thing? I don't know what it is. It was 22 or 24. Is that a spout? It's got some age to it, I would say. Unless anyone knows otherwise. What is that? Right, close to that, in fact out of the same hole as that tapered copper alloy item, which I'm in two minds. I think it might have some age to it, I'm not sure. There's something else. No, 19 to 20. I think that's from the same bit of spoil, or it might be parked close to it. So it might be part of the same. Nope. I don't think is old. Well, it might be Victorian, like post-industrial, but perhaps when I clean it a bit more we'll have a better idea. Right, a lot of interference here in this area, but I go into it and I have a halfpenny again. Which one is this time? 19 or 20 on the scale. What have we got? That is another early 1900s. I think that's another George V. It's in quite good condition, so you should be able to get the date off it. Yeah, maybe about 1920. Georges V. Right, that's it. So not as productive as the other field on the other side of the road that I did last Tuesday. I might come back out. I've got Tuesday off this week, this forthcoming week. In fact, I'll come and do that third field that used to be, or is close to the shore, down that way, probably on Tuesday if the weather permits it. So I'll post the finds up now. Thanks very much for watching once again, everybody. Appreciate your interest. If you've got anything that you'd like to comment on, please feel free, and of course give us a thumbs up if you could. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in a couple of days. 30 finds in total, 14 bits of old rubbish and 16 more interesting items. So this mainly aluminium can slaw. Can slaw is aluminium that's been through the combine. Got a musket ball, got a couple of 303s, one of which has hit something very hard, as you can see there. Lead shot, a cartridge end, 3 bits of lead, a button, 5 coins now. The oldest is this Victoria 1899 penny. That was found in the area where the interference was at its peak, so I had to listen really carefully. If I came through at different angles after doing the rest of the field, which was only 3.5 acres incidentally, and was able to still pick up targets despite the interference. Barrel tap, that piece of the barrel tap basically entered the barrel itself, so it snapped off at the where it enters the barrel, and the tap would have been at this end here. That's why it's got grooves in it. That was a farthing, that coin there. 19, you'll see a picture of it in a minute anyway. This, don't know what it is. I think it's been made into a hook from something else, possibly. It's post-industrial, so late 1800s, early 1900s, whatever it is. I think it's a finial. It's gone into a tube originally, possibly to form on a railing or some such thing. Usual toy car in the form of a dumper truck. I said musket ball, I think. 2 303s, 3 bits of lead, and a forged nail. The machined nails weren't produced, I don't think, until about 1850 or later. So I would imagine it's pre-1850 anyway, so almost impossible to say. Forged nails were produced over a long, long period. And a button. Right, I'll post the finds up now and you can see particularly the coins in more detail.